And that I was pregnant when he got murdered.
Oh, wow. I thought of that one.
So faithful, whether you had any premonition. Erika Kirk just announced that she's 8 weeks pregnant. Her husband's been gone for 10 weeks. And I was praying to God that I was pregnant when he got murdered. Oh, wow. I thought of that one. Stop scrolling, because what you're about to hear is the kind of scandal that destroys political careers, shatters families, and exposes every secret these people thought they had buried forever. Tonight, everything falls apart. Erika Kirk, the widow who begged the world to see her as a grieving, devoted mother, is panicking, shaking, spiraling because J.D. Vance just did the one thing she never expected. He denied getting her pregnant publicly, coldly, brutally, and the internet, they didn't buy a single word of her story. The moment Erika said she was 8 weeks pregnant, people did the math instantly, and the math betrayed her. Charlie Kirk's been dead for 10. The timeline doesn't just look wrong, it looks impossible. Viewers called her insensitive, tone-deaf, and flat-out suspicious. Comments poured in like a tidal wave. She's never with the kid she already has. Who prays to be pregnant after their husband dies? Something is off. And just like that, her entire public image collapsed. No more widow sympathy, no more supportive audience, just millions of people whispering the same question. If Charlie isn't the father, then who is? That's when the spotlight snapped to J.D. Vance. The man caught in that emotional turning point hug. The man whose wife, Usha, suddenly showed up without her wedding ring. The man who told 10,000 people he wished his wife would convert to Christianity, making their marriage tension impossible to ignore. And right in the middle of this scandal, he's being pushed as the 2028 Republican frontrunner, the clean-cut family man on the verge of becoming America's next political star. So when pregnancy rumors started circling, JD had two choices: tell the truth or survive. And he chose survival. His denial wasn't clarity. It wasn't innocence. It was pure damage control. A desperate move to protect his image, his marriage, and his political future before the MAGA base turned on him forever. But here's the twist. Nobody can unsee. If JD truly has nothing to do with Erika's pregnancy, then why is Shachin the one falling apart? Why is SH the one making mistakes? Why is SH the one slipping like someone hiding something explosive? Something is cracking behind the scenes, something they can't hide much longer. And the next slip, the next leak, the next accident will finally expose who Erika was really praying for.
And I was praying to God that I was pregnant when he got murdered. Especially if you're a young woman, don't put it off. You can always have a career. You can always, go back to work.
The moment J.D. Vance denied getting Erika Kirk pregnant, the entire political universe shook like someone had pulled a hidden wire out of a ticking bomb. It wasn't just a denial, it was a signal, a warning shot, a desperate attempt to stop a scandal that was already sprinting far ahead of him. And while J.D. tried to hold the line, Erika was collapsing behind the scenes, clinging to a version of reality that no longer made sense to anyone, not even to her. People had been watching Erika for months, long before she ever announced her pregnancy, long before Charlie Kirk's death even became a national spectacle. They had watched the interviews, the speeches, the turning point events, and every tear she shed on camera. But nothing prepared them for the moment she quietly admitted being 8 weeks pregnant when everyone knew Charlie had been dead for 10. The timeline snapped like a bone under pressure, and the world reacted instantly. The comment sections didn't just question her, they devoured her. "She's never with the kid she already has," one viewer wrote, and thousands agreed. Others said they would pray for justice after their spouse's death, not pregnancy. The tone of her grief shifted in minutes. What had once been sympathy turned into suspicion. What had once been emotional became manipulative. And what had once been a widow's mourning turned into whispers of secrets she thought she had hidden well enough. When Erika said she had prayed to God she was pregnant when Charlie was murdered, something inside the internet snapped open. The statement didn't land like tragedy, it landed like a confession. It wasn't love people heard, it was desperation. Desperation to hold on to something. Desperation to anchor herself to Charlie's legacy. Or desperation to cover up a truth too big, too dangerous, too career-shattering to admit. That's when the old footage resurfaced. The hug. The turning point hug that had been saved, archived, replayed, slowed down, zoomed in, and studied hundreds of times. Erika leaning into JD's chest, her hands sliding behind his neck, his eyes softening in a way a married man's eyes shouldn't soften for another woman. The crowd cheering for one moment, the internet dissecting it for weeks afterward. The spark everyone ignored the first time came back with the force of a wildfire. But then something else happened, something nobody expected. Usha Vance stepped out in public without her wedding ring. The image hit the internet like lightning. A simple missing ring became the loudest clue in the entire timeline. A wife doesn't remove her wedding ring for no reason. Not in politics, not when her husband is being elevated as the future face of conservatism, not when every camera is pointed at her, waiting for something to crack. And people understood the message immediately. Something was wrong between JD and Usha. Something big. Something that couldn't hide behind family photos, staged smiles, or Sunday church appearances. The cracks in the marriage were visible long before Erika announced her pregnancy, and everyone could see them now. The event where JD made a comment about hoping his wife would eventually embrace Christianity only added gasoline to the fire. It wasn't playful. It wasn't lighthearted. It felt like a confession of strain. An admission that things at home weren't as perfect as his political team wanted America to believe. The conservative base worships the concept of a strong Christian family unit, and JD had just exposed that his own wasn't fitting the mold. So when Erika's timeline came out, the internet didn't hesitate. The speculation didn't start slowly. It erupted. Screenshots of a hug resurfaced, side-by-side images of Usha without a ring went viral, and people began writing theories that read more like spoilers than rumors. "She's marrying JD Vance in 2027, one comment said. Thousands of likes flooded in. People agreed not because it was funny, but because it made sense. Sense? JD's denial didn't help. It came too quickly, too perfectly phrased, too rehearsed. To many, it sounded like a man trying to preserve his political future, not a man telling the truth. His advisors knew that admitting anything, even a hint of closeness with Erika, would be catastrophic. His family man image was the backbone of his rising political career. The conservative base demands moral perfection. A secret pregnancy with a widow, especially one whose husband was his friend, would destroy that overnight. But something else made the denial look even guiltier. Erika herself had publicly stated that Turning Point USA was already preparing to support JD Vance for the 2028 race. The timing was suspicious, too aligned, too connected. People began to wonder if loyalty had turned into intimacy behind the scenes, if grief had blended with comfort, if political strategy had merged with something far more personal. And while JD tried to look calm, Usha's silence screamed louder than anything he could say. A missing wedding ring is never an accident. It is a message, a warning. If he had truly done nothing wrong, Usha wouldn't be sending signals. She wouldn't be stepping out ringless. She wouldn't be letting the internet fuel the fire. She would be defending him. She didn't defend him. She walked into a public event with Melania Trump, straight-faced, poised, polished, and barehanded. No ring, no symbol of unity, no attempt to silence the whispers. Whatever happened had shaken her, and the world could see it. Meanwhile, Erika spiraled. Her interviews grew more chaotic. Her attempts to appear calm were cracking. Her voice shook in moments where it shouldn't. Her explanations didn't flow. They collapsed. The public didn't have to guess who was panicking. They saw it in her eyes, her hands, her sentences that fell apart halfway through. She looked like someone whose secret had slipped out sooner than expected. The saddest part wasn't even the scandal. It was the tragedy woven through every moment. A husband dead, a political marriage strained, a woman struggling to hold together a story that kept unraveling, and a man trying to save his reputation at the expense of everyone around him. The narrative wasn't about love or loss anymore. It was about damage control. And that brings us back to the question the entire internet keeps asking. If J.D. Vance truly had nothing to do with Erika's pregnancy, then why is she the one breaking down? Why is she the one slipping? Why is she the one making mistakes she never made before? Why does it feel like someone is hiding a truth so big that the pressure is eating them alive? Something isn't adding up. Something behind the scenes is cracking open, and the next slip, the next interview, the next camera angle, the next accidental confession might finally reveal the truth they've both been running from. And when it does, nothing in their world will look the same again. The silence surrounding Erika Kirk wasn't calm. It was the kind of silence that comes right before everything explodes. Everyone watching could feel it. Every interview, every public appearance, every shaky breath she took carried the weight of a truth she wasn't prepared to face. And while she tried to smile through the chaos, the internet sensed something deeper, a pressure building inside her that was moments away from bursting.